What's up, guys? Welcome to the vlog. Today we're going to talk about quick fixes on the Foxbody. We are back, and today we are going to handle some of the little issues that you might run across with a Foxbody. We're going to talk about them, show you how to fix them, give you a couple of updates on some of the parts that we've purchased for the car. I've had a few people ask, you know, how do you adjust your doors, the striker and whatnot. So we're just going to kind of go over that. I'm going to tell you what I've done to my doors, what caused them to not shut right, and then how to fix them. So ultimately, this is going to be how you adjust your doors. This is going to be where you compensate for either a saggy door or the fact that you put new weather stripping on the car. A lot of times that'll kind of hold the door off. This is what you're going to adjust, and we'll get to that in just a second. I actually had to change the door pins out on my car, and when I did, that changed the way the door sat. So when I put these new door pins in, the door would no longer shut anymore, and that's simply because the door, you know, used to sag, and somebody at some point had compensated on this striker here. When you change your door pins, there's a good chance you're going to have to change your striker adjustment here. That's one cause as to why you might have to do some adjusting. And the next is more than likely, like if you put new weather stripping in, a lot of times these doors don't want to shut too good. We'll go ahead and we'll adjust this. We'll put this thing out of adjustment. So now the door is not going to want to shut as easy. You can shut it, but you're going to really have to push on it hard to get it to shut. And a lot of times what happens is whenever your weather stripping starts to wear out, people will overcompensate and they'll move the striker back so that it pulls the door up tighter against this, which is fine. But once you put new weather stripping in, a lot of times they don't want to work right. We'll go to the other extreme here and we'll move it out this way, and then we'll see what happens. Okay, that shuts good right there, but the problem is the door actually doesn't sit flush now, and your door is not pulled in very tight. Look at all this play you have up here. So what you want to do is find that happy medium. It takes a couple times to get it adjusted right. Let's see what we've got. Nope, still a little far. So I'm going to move it back ever so slightly. About like that, maybe.
Daddy, do we have users? Do we have users?
See what we got here. Perfect. Look at that. So that's what you want. Anyway, that is how you adjust your door striker. We'll move along to the trunk. Now these things are a little more complicated. I don't know why it is. They move all over the place. All of these strikers move up, down, in, out. I mean, they move around 360 degrees. But these back here are a lot more complicated a lot of times to get to adjust correctly. Now I have mine adjusted correctly, and no, I'm not going to take it apart and mess this one up. But what I am going to do is show you guys. Well, first off, we'll look down here. Make sure you always have one of these striker bushings. If you do not have a bushing, go to LMR, get yourself one. I actually think they do sell them at AutoZone too. You're going to have one of these first. And yes, you could use electrical tape, duct tape, another piece of tubing or whatever you got in a pinch, but ultimately you want to buy one of these, and that just helps everything grab it a little better, and it doesn't give you any slop in there. So I'll show you guys real quick like how it shuts. There you go. All right, so how you would adjust this is you would take this back panel off right here, just take it out of the way, and you'll be able to move it all back. And it takes a T50, same as the door, and you'll unscrew this, pull it out, and just pull this thing up and down, side to side, whatever you need. All right, so next I've had a few people ask, what about your hood props? What about your hood struts? Do they cause any issues? Does your hood sit up in the back a little bit? I have addressed this before, but I'll go ahead and talk about it real quick again. I've not had any issues with the hood struts. To start with, they did sit a little high, but I made an adjustment to them. Super simple. These actually thread out, so these just pop off, and once you pop them off, you can adjust them right here. They just screw in and out. Once you adjust them, you should be able to get the back end of your hood down. So the hood struts have been working out great. I really like them. As you can see, you know, the hood stays up, no issues whatsoever. I did have someone ask though in the video, why did you use the hood prop whenever you were doing your radiator install? And I will just show you guys, show you right here. The hood will actually go up a lot higher if you use the hood prop. But with stuff like, you know, popping the hood to check the oil or anything, you don't need it to go up that high. Perfectly fine, leave it like it is. But the hood prop will give you a little bit of extra height. I'll tell you guys, it makes it a lot easier. It really does. So let's talk a little bit about the radiator. Loving this radiator. I mean, it's doing its job. It does what a radiator is supposed to do. It's keeping the car cool. It looks good. The thing I am most impressed with though with this radiator is the fit and finish on this thing. It just fits great. It looks great. No issues. And these clamps here just really secure this radiator down good. Car runs cool as you would expect. I did have a lot of guys ask, well, why did you not use distilled water? Why did you not go 50-50 mix? I know I was pushed for time. I had to get the video done and I forgot to get my antifreeze. So I forgot to pick everything up. Anyway, that's why I just use tap water. Like I said, the burping process is the exact same, no matter if you're using distilled water, 50-50 mix or whatever. That's why I went ahead and put the video out like it was. I'd commented on it in the video, but I, for some reason, edited it out. I don't know why I did that, but the car still does have tap water in it for right now. But as soon as I get a chance, I am gonna pull all this out and we're gonna put distilled water in a 50-50 mix in it. So I was talking to my buddy Juan, you know who you are. He gives me a call every once in a while and we kind of talk about stuff. Talking to Juan about the fact that his car rides really rough, that got me to thinking. In days past, we would always take the quad shocks off these cars. That's what we did, especially if you're trying to get out there and drag race and whatnot. It was quad shocks and it was front sway bar. I am way over that. Now, if I was drag racing this car, sure, I would go to aftermarket stuff, take quad shocks off, etc. But I'm not drag racing a car. It doesn't make a lot of power. So, guys, put your quad shocks back on if you have them off and all you're doing is street driving your car. Put those quad shocks on. What it'll do is keep your rear end from moving side to side because it can't push those quad shocks side to side. The quad shocks move like this. So put your quad shocks back on and tell me if you don't feel a difference in the way your car handles and rides. The ride quality was so much better, especially on a lowered vehicle. If you have one of these cars and it's lowered, put your quad shocks back on, because what I ran into was a really bouncy ride on the car. So I put the shocks back on, no problem whatsoever. Car rides pretty good now. It's just extra dampening. You always want more dampening if you're gonna put more spring rate. Also, one other thing that myself and Juan had talked about, when you put aftermarket caster camber plates on these cars, they send these washers to you right here. The majority of the instructions are going to tell you to put most of your washers underneath. I'm not saying all companies are the same, but typically that's kind of what I've seen. These washers are actually made to fine-tune your suspension, not to necessarily raise and lower your car. But I will tell you this, let's say you got a caster camber kit, you put it on your car and now your car sits higher in the front end. I've heard of this happening before. Well, it happened on my car actually. So let's say that happens to you. What you can do is take some of those washers from the top or from the bottom and move them to the top. And when you do that, that's going to relieve a little bit of pressure on the front end. It's going to let it sit down on that strut some. So that'll give you probably up to around about a ½ inch in the front of the car. Maybe not quite that much, but it will give you some extra. But these are the washers I'm talking about right here. And essentially most of these typically are under the car on your strut underneath here. Take those off and put them up top. Sometimes you do run into hood clearance problems because what it does is push the top of the strut up higher. On my car, I do still have one of these small spacers, but that lowered my car probably about a ½ of an inch or so whenever I did that. So if you put caster camber plates on your car and it doesn't sit right, whether it sits too low or too high, adjust these washers from top to bottom and see if that helps you any. Like I said, that's not their sole purpose, but they do help. All right, I've also had a lot of people ask, you know, what kind of oil do you use in your car? What I use is just Motorcraft Synthetic 10W30. Well, I try to use this in the winter time. It doesn't get that cold here, but I like to run the 30 weight in the winter and then the 40 in the summer. The car actually has 40 in it right now, but I don't have a bottle of it. So that's what I run, Motorcraft oil and filter in my car. And if you've never felt this oil, pick you up a bottle of it and feel how slick it is. I know all oil is slick, right? But this stuff is really slick. It's impressed me. Plus, if it's good enough for Ford, it's good enough for me. This car still runs good, doesn't smoke, doesn't knock. It works. All right, guys, that's gonna wrap this video up. I just kind of wanted to address a few of the little Foxbody issues that arise with these cars and how to adjust them, how to tweak them and whatnot. Plus, some of these were brought up by some of you guys. So I figured we'd go ahead and address that now. You know, we can't always have groundbreaking content, so I hope you guys do appreciate moments like this where we can just kind of sit, chill, talk a little bit, address some of the issues on these cars. Also, if you can think of anything else small, quick, that we can just kind of throw into a video, I might not know the answer, but I will research it, and if I can, I'll put it in one of the next videos for you guys. But just kind of let me know down below if you enjoy stuff like this. I know you guys enjoy the parts installs and, you know, taking the cars down the road and driving them and stuff, but we can't always have that type of content. So if you do appreciate and enjoy this type of content, please let me know down below. We're gonna go ahead and wrap this video up, and as always, thanks for watching.